What is up, everybody? This is Erik, the one and only Bear Collector, and today I am doing my annual episode of Most Memorable Games, and this one is for the year 2024. For all of you guys who are new to my channel, I do this video once a year, and I kind of recap all the games that I played, the ones that were memorable to me for the previous year. And so this is probably like my third or fourth video that I do this now. And I recap games that were memorable to me. Games that stuck out that I played throughout the year. And of course, some of these games I've done reviews. Some of these games I will do reviews on. And some of them I don't think I'm going to do anything for the time being. And of course, talking about 2024... this was a very interesting, memorable year for me for 2024 because I beat a lot of games that I got the monkey off my back, or what I call MOMBS, MOMBS, monkey off my back. I beat a lot of games that I started playing since I was a kid, and then I finally beat this year, this 2024. So let's get on with the episode. I will not do gameplay footage. It's just review of the games that I own, or digital downloads that I played and such or whatnot. And the first game of the year in 2024 that I beat, it was a game that was very memorable to me. A game I did do a review on at the beginning of the year, early on the year, and that is Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion for the Nintendo Switch. Now, I did do a review on this game, so I'm not going to go a lot over what the game's about. I will post, for those particular games I did a review, I will leave the links down below so you guys can check them out. But definitely this game was the very first game I beat in 2024, and it was a rather interesting and fun one. And of course, there is a sequel, Turnip Boy Robs a Bank, and I can't wait to play that one. That's a game that I wanna get eventually and play it. So that was the very first game. The next one, okay, so this was interesting. I will not do a review on this one anytime soon. This is a game that it took me 21 years to beat. And that game is this one for the Sega Saturn. Well, it's called Linkle Liver Story. Now, there is one of the reasons why it took me such a long time to complete was because, first of all, there was no English translation for it in the past. However, there was one that came out eventually, more recent than not. Of course, as you guys know my story with the Saturn, I used to own it, and I used to own this game. I got rid of the Saturn and then got it back with these games, and this was one of them. And it's basically an adventure Zelda-like game. Very fun game. You play as Linkle Liver out to defeat an evil that has taken over the land. It has polluted or poisoned the land. So Linkle Liver and her friends are trying to get rid of that evil. But it's a really fun game, and it took me 21 years to beat, and I finally did it in 2024. Next game is another game that I had since back. This one took me 27 years to beat. Why? I don't know. And that is The Lost Vikings for the SNES. This one, very fun game. I know I remember playing it when I used to own it back in the days when I was young. But of course, I gave the game up and didn't get into it. I want to say I used to own the Genesis version of it as well. But then not long ago, a while ago, I got the game back, and I finally sat down and I beat it in 2024. This was a game that I was very happy to beat, and it was a very fun one. Nonetheless, I may do an episode on this one in the near future. There is a sequel, Part 2, The Lost Vikings Part 2. And this is a very fun game. So yes, may do a video on that one in the future. I'm not sure. And then the next one, this was actually a homebrew of one of my favorite games of all time. And that is Zelda 2 Amida's Curse. This is a hack for the Zelda 2 NES game. And this is a very, very fun hack of Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link. And it's basically a continuation. It's kind of like a direct sequel to Zelda 2 Adventures of Link. And whoever, I forgot who programmed this game, but very, very fun game. And I love Zelda 2. I love that style of RPGs. And playing that game really brought in a new flavor to the game. So game that I beat and I had a lot of fun playing. The next one is a game that I played for many, many years as an emulator, but I do own it as the Nintendo, as the SNES Japanese game. And that game, of course, is Pop Full Mail for the Sega CD. Now, I don't own a Sega CD or any Sega CD games, but this was one of those games that I've always wanted to play because it is a working designs game that I've wanted to play since forever. And I played it off and on until finally in 2024 I said, screw it, let me get on and play it. And I had a lot of fun with this one. This one was really fun. Now, they say that the SNES version is a watered down version of the Sega CD because, of course, the Sega CD has anime sequences and whatnot. However, this one, there's still no translation for the SNES one as of now. And as far as I know, so I'm going to wait until I get a translation and I'm going to try that one out. So that was that one. And then this one, I did do a review on this game. 28 Years to Beat. I know I didn't. I don't think I mentioned it in my game review of it, but that is the Addams Family Values for the SNES. Now, this game took me forever to beat because it is an overhead adventure game compared to the Addams Family game on the SNES and the Genesis. And this was one of those games that I played for a certain area and then I stopped. And then finally I got to beating. And I know I did a video on it. So I'll leave the link down there. And this was a very interesting and fun one. Really cool graphics on the game. But finally beat it and got the monkey off my back on that bad boy. Then the next one is a game that I used to own when I was a kid, but I don't own it now. It's not an expensive game to own, but then I felt iffy to buy it. And that game is Sega Master System's Thunderblade. This game right here, Thunderblade, it is an extremely difficult game. It is so hard. I beat it with cheats, I'm not going to lie. However, when I got to the end, the end boss was so difficult, even with cheats. But I did beat it, and it was like, for a game like that. So after all these years that I used to own it, I finally beat it. I do have Super Thunderblade for the Genesis, so that's the reason why I wanted to play that one first, to play Super Thunderblade and see how that one goes. I haven't played. I remember playing Super Thunderblade in the arcades. But hopefully it's not as bad as this one. I did not enjoy this one, but I beat it. So that was that one. Then the next one it's a favorite RPG of mine. And this one took me a long time to beat too. And it's Sailor Moon RPG for the Super Famicom or SNES. Love Sailor Moon. My girlfriend, of course, if you guys watch her channel, Lily, a Simple Mom, big fanatic of Sailor Moon here at this household. And way before I met my girlfriend, this was an RPG that I've known of since many years, and I've always wanted to play it. However, it was kind of like the English translation ROM for it, or the patch wasn't as great, so it gave me a hard time to play it. I remember getting to a certain spot, and then the game froze on me, and then I stopped playing it. And then I spent all these years without playing it until finally I did it. And I had a lot of fun on it. Now, this particular game, Sailor Moon RPG, is based, or Sailor Moon Another Story. It's based on what my girlfriend told me of the third season of Sailor Moon. Now, I never watched Sailor Moon completely. I know she has, of course. But I know from what the explanation that I gave her, she told me that it was like either a second or the third season of it. And I've only watched like the early parts of Sailor Moon. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with that one. finally got the monkey off my back on that one. Then the next one, it is a PS2 game that I do own, but I don't have the copy with me at this time. It's at my parents'. So instead of waiting to do the video, I wanted to jump into it. And that game is PS2's Dark Watch. Now, this is a game that I've wanted to play for a really, really, really long time. I underestimated the game thinking it was going to be one of those simple games to play and whatnot. But it was very hard, but it was very fun. It's a first-person shooter platformer. It's just weird. I just don't like the fact that it was a platformer, but it was mostly a shooter where you get bitten by a vampire. It's based on the Wild West. You get bitten by a vampire, and your whole goal is to try to find a way to turn yourself back to normal. I'm not gonna spoil the story, but it has a really good storyline. At the end of the day, the ending was good, but the storyline was really cool. So definitely, this was one that I underestimated when I played it, thinking I was gonna get through it in a breeze. But no, it was actually a lot harder than I thought. So yeah, that was one of those games. The next one, now, I'm not going to say much about this one because I am going to do a video on this one real soon. But I will mention that it's a game that I wanted to beat for a long, long time. I used to have it when I was a kid, but then I don't have it anymore because it's an expensive game to own. And that is Adventure Island 3 for the NES. I do own Adventure Island 2, which is the same as Adventure Island 3, but on the Game Boy. I'm not going to go much into details until you guys see the video. But finally, this one I used to beat, but this one was one that I've always wanted to beat and got the monkey off my back. So I'm not going to say much about this game because I will do a video soon on it. As you guys know, I'm covering the Wonder Boy games and the Adventure Island games, doing a Let's Compare. That's what started that little mini series for me. So yes, so I'm not gonna go into details. Then the next one was one that I did do a video on, and it took me years to beat. As a matter of fact, I didn't mention this on the video. I don't think I did, but it took me 27 years to beat, and that is the Sword of Hope for the Game Boy. Very fun first-person RPG point-and-click adventure game. This one I enjoyed a lot. I'll put a link on the video for this one so you guys can go back and see it. But basically, got the monkey off my back, and I go more into detail if you guys see my video on that one. But definitely happy that I beat that one. Very fun. I recommend this one. I don't know if I said this on the video or not, but I highly recommend you guys getting this one. It's a really cool game. The next one is when I did a video not long ago. Coincidentally, it fell around the time of voting day for 2024, and that is Super Bernie World for the Steam. One of the very first games that I owned on the Steam, one that I was looking for a simple platformer to get used to the Steam Deck and whatnot, and I found this one and it was rather fun. I really enjoyed it. Very comical game. Very cool game. Highly recommend it. As far as I know, it was free when I did the review. I'll go more into details. Watch my review on this one, but definitely one to play. And then the other game I did do a review as well. My first official actual Steam game that I beat, and one of the first ones that I owned, and that is Bobo the Cat. Oh my God, this one, a lot of memory. This one's gonna go down as one of the games that was very memorable for me in 2024 because I started playing it when I was recuperating from shoulder surgery back in May when I first got my Steam Deck, and I had a lot of fun with this one. But boy, this game really was super difficult, and it's a fun game that I highly recommend if you like Metroidvanias. For a free game, very, very highly suggested. So watch my video on it. Very cool game indeed. The next one, okay, let me take a chug. Salud. Yup. The next game, now this one was a game that I've always tried to play could not figure out. It was super difficult until I had to see some gameplay footage of this particular game. But it's based on one of my all-time favorite movies with oh my god, Bruce Willis, with one of my favorite actors, Bruce Willis, and that is Hudson Hawk. Love the movie. I feel like I really want to do a video on this one. I'm not gonna go much into details, but very, very difficult game. It took me forever to learn the quirks on this game until finally I got familiarized with the gameplay. But one thing I will tell you, this game, you want to go fast. I would suggest one word of advice: take it slow when you play this game. Yes, take it slow. But I'll leave you with the famous words one of the words that me and my son laugh about when Bruce Willis was captured in the movie Hudson Hawk with the main bad guys, and they had a little vicious little dog, and he used to say, "Hey, ball." So here we go. Love that reference. So that one's for you, Logan. Ball. You know what I'm talking about. We had a lot of fun watching that movie. So the next one is a game that I got not long ago, but it's a game based on one of my favorite. It's based on one of my favorite Sega Saturn games of all time. And I didn't know that this game existed. It is Sega Game Gear's Magic Knight Rayearth. Now, this particular copy, I got a complete copy. It's a Japanese exclusive, but there is an English patch for it out there. Really interesting game. Very different than the Sega Saturn version of Magic Knight Rayearth. Very different than the SNES version of Magic Knight Rayearth. And each version is its own game. Whereas the Sega Saturn version follows a lot, I believe. I want to say follows like the story of how they became the Magic Knights. The SNES version feels like it was a continuation from the anime, and this one, it feels like another continuation from the anime as well, continuation from the Saturn game. It's weird but really cool. The gameplay is first person RPG. However, it's kind of like a roulette when you choose your attacks. But it's an interesting game nonetheless. Had a lot of fun with this one. And it was very memorable, of course, because it's from a favorite franchise that I like. Looking forward to seeing the anime. I still haven't seen it. The next one is one that you guys are already aware that I beat, but I want to throw it out there. You can say this is kind of like an honorable mention, and that is Pokemon Legends Arceus for the Nintendo Switch. I know I've mentioned before I beat Arceus, but then my son was pushing me to beat it with all the Pokemon, and God, it was a grueling task. After I beat the game, I believe I beat it 2 years ago, my son kept insisting that he wanted me to capture all the Pokemon, and I said, no, I beat it, I don't want to play it again. Because to me, this game was like a chore. It's not that it's boring, it was just a completely different Pokemon style of game that I'm not used to. And he finally pushed me, and then I finally gave in, and we collected all the Pokemon through transferring from Pokemon Go, from doing a bunch of things. At any rate, we beat it, got all the Pokemon, and it's done. And I don't want to revisit it again. I'm sick of that game. Nothing against it, but yeah. The next one is a game that I've been playing since I was a kid. 30 years it took me to beat this game, even with cheats. It is a difficult game. Now, I may review it, so I'm not going to go much to what this game is. And that game is, if my friend Gil is watching, this one's for you, bro. Time Lord for the NES. Oh my God, this game was a chore. Basically, you're a time traveling person from the future that has to go to the past, collect these orbs to avoid an Armageddon. And so in each level, you have to complete it. because you have 1 year to beat the game. Yes, it's insane. I'm not gonna go much into details, but let me just say that the game was super difficult, even with cheats. I had to replay it again a few times because I kept losing at the end because the time kept running out, until finally I found a cheat and I beat it with it. But without it, it is a very, it's a very difficult game. So that's the end of that. I may do a video. I may go and do it more in detail, but yeah, it's not a bad game. Yeah, so I'll go into details if I do a video. The next one is another game that took me 31 years to beat, and I did do a video on it, and I reviewed it, and I kind of enjoyed it, even though people say otherwise. And that is Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure for the NES. Now, I showed you guys in the video that I got the PS5 limited run copy. I do own the Game Boy game as well, and I own this one, so I own all of the versions of Bill and Ted's. I love... Oh, I should try to see if I could watch the movie because I wasn't able to. I still have to watch Bill and Ted's Face the Music, which is part 3, I believe. And I've been doing a lot of... As of the making of this video, I've been doing a lot of movie binges. Through my vacation time, I got to see a lot of great movies. So this is... I forgot about this one. So anyways, I did a video. I'll leave the link and you guys can watch it because this is a very interesting game in itself. So let me check my notes of what I got right here, guys. Next game. Oh, okay. So here is... I'm going to try to grab these. Okay. Next game that took me a very long time to beat. Pugsley Scavenger Hunt for the SNES. Now, I may do a video on this one. This one almost made it as my Halloween video, especially because I love the Addams family and whatnot. But it was very, very, very difficult without cheats. Very difficult in my opinion. Over the years, I tried getting into this one and I would just stop playing it. And I was like, whatever, until finally I sat down, did it, made it, and beat it. So yes, I may do a video on this one, and it's basically based on Pugsley and Wednesday. I believe there was a cartoon series that came out during that time, and Wednesday challenges Pugsley to find certain items in the mansion, so he has to go on a scavenger hunt, basically. That's what it is. The next one, okay, so this one is from a series that I love, a series that I have a video that I'm maybe talking about. I will talk about the very first game. It's Kung Fu Heroes. There's a video that I already have made and ready to go, but I haven't released it yet. But that game in itself spawned a big series, which turned into a popular Japanese RPG. And I finally beat... it's called Super Chinese 3 in Japan, but it's basically Little Ninja Brothers 3, which never got released in the States, but it did in Japan because we got Kung Fu Heroes and Little Ninja Brothers. And then, of course, Super Ninja Boy and Super Ninja Boy 2 in the Game Boy. And in the SNES, we got Super Ninja... I don't know. The names are very confusing. But anyways, this is the NES version of it. And they finally did an English patch to this one not long ago. So I got to play it. This one is very, very fun. You guys should look into this one if you know you guys are interested in RPGs. I may do a video on this series or not. I'm still debating on it because the next game I beat right after that one was Super... Okay, that's what it is. Super Chinese World or Super Ninja Boy on the SNES. And then Super Chinese World 2 is the one that I beat on the SNES. They also released just recently an English patch for the game. There is a part 3, and I own part 3 as a reproduction cart because that was expensive even as a Japanese cartridge. But I beat part 2. I want to say Super Chinese 3 was much more fun than this one, but it's still not bad. I thought this one was very more platformer than traditional RPG, because they're a mix of platformer, RPG elements and whatnot. This one turned into more of a platformer, but all in all, I enjoyed it. Very memorable game. Now, the next game is a game that took me 30 years to beat, and I beat it. Game that I was looking for, and it took me forever to get because the game was going higher up in price depending on the version that you get, and that is NES's Untouchables. Very great. This is a movie that I really, really like. It's based on it, but it just left me with something to be desired after I beat it. I had to use cheats because this game is super difficult. But at the end of the day, I was kind of disappointed on it. So, but it wasn't bad. I may do a video on it and go over more on this one. It's a good game. At the end of the day, even though I guess I was expecting much from a game that was supposed to be just a funnel shooter, so maybe I should take that back. So, finally beat it after 30 years. Now, the next game on my list, of course, is a game that I will be reviewing, and I'm watching the anime as we speak right now because there's a lot of history on it, and that is Zillion for the Sega Master System. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. This game was a game that I've always known since I was a very young little boy, since I had my Sega Master, and it was a game that I never really played, but I have the sequel to it, Zillion 2, the Triformation. That one was totally different to this one. Well, they're not different in gameplay style. They're both platformers. But you can say that this would be considered to be our Metroid for the people that had a Sega and didn't have a Nintendo back in the days. I won't go over much on it, but I finally beat it with cheats, of course, because this game is tough. Really tough. But it was really fun, and I enjoyed it a lot. So yes, definitely, I'm gonna be covering those games. I'm not gonna go into much detail. Now this one is another one that I have a video ready to go that I will release it soon, but I'm not gonna go into much detail. And that is Power Punch 2 for the NES. I'm not going to go into much detail because I am going to do a video. I already got it made. Everything's done, but I haven't released it yet. And I'll cover this game because this one is interesting as well. So, very memorable game. I'll go over it and y'all see when I release the video soon. The next one is one that I did a video on already. And I don't own the NES version of it, which is how I played it. But I own a limited release of the Nintendo Switch version. And this Zombie Nation or Abarembo Tengu for the Nintendo Switch, NES, whatever you want to call it. This one was very memorable. Almost made it into the Halloween video as well. Or I can't remember which was my Halloween video. Maybe this was my Halloween video. God, my brain is out. It's late. I'm doing this video. Anyways, did the video. I'll put a link below. Very memorable game. Not quite what I thought about it, but it was still fun, and I had it was interesting nonetheless. I'll show the video. I'll put this guy here because it looks pretty cool. I like the box. So anyways, the next game I got is a Sega Genesis game that I own a reproduction card of. I thought I had played it. I have mentioned this before in the past. I thought that I played this game, but no, I did not play it back in the days. And that is Crusader of Senti for the Sega Genesis. Very memorable game. Very interesting game. I think I want to say I did begin to play it way back in the days, but I never got into it. But it was a fun game nonetheless. A straight Zelda, Legend of Zelda clone. People want to compare it to the Zelda of the Genesis. I will say it is, but not quite. It's not as great as the Zelda games, but nonetheless, it's still a good game in itself. And I beat it. I may or may not do a video on it. So, basically, you're a boy who you live amongst animals, and and people alike. So there's a great evil that comes out. Eventually, the main character loses his voice and he's only able to communicate with animals. And so he gathers different animal friends to help him on his quest. You can use those animal friends to give you power-ups. And eventually you uncover the source of what's going on and have to battle the evil that's taking over the land. Interesting game nonetheless. Now this next one is a game that I beat on the Nintendo Switch. It's a digital download. However, I'll go into details of this one. And this one is Treasure Hunter Man 2 for the Nintendo Switch. Now, this is the sequel. When I bought it, I figured it was a sequel to some game. Basically, this is the sequel to Treasure Hunter Man, which came out on the PC. Not long ago, I bought a game that had 3 games in one, and it had a secret game, which was part 1 of Treasure Hunter Man. I played it a little bit, and basically, the sequel is about the mom going out to... Because in Treasure Hunter Man, you play a little boy that goes out on an adventure on an island to discover the treasure. Eventually, in part 2, that boy gets lost, I guess, not to spoil the whole thing. And then the mom goes out to look for the son. And it's basically a 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania. Really fun game. Not that long of a game, but really difficult at first. But then it's a learning curve. And it was a fun game that I enjoyed nonetheless. Then the next game I beat was NES Reproduction. I don't own the game whatsoever. This was a download that I got. I have the sequel to it, but I don't have the first one, which is Haunted Halloween 85. This is basically a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up where you're a young boy who on Halloween discovers, after trying to going into a dance, he discovers that the whole town gets zombified, and he has to uncover what the heck happened, and at the same time go rescue his date for the dance. And it's a very fun game. Very difficult game, but very fun nonetheless. And I beat it. And also another game that was gonna make the cut as my Halloween video, but it didn't. And definitely enjoyed that one. Then the next game now this is a game that I've had for a really long time for the PS1. I just not long ago bought its sequel because I have other versions of the game, and that is Oddworld Apes Odyssey for the PS1. Oh man, people consider this to be a great PS1 game. My friends used to tell me this back in the days because they were trying to get me to play it. Now, this is one of those games that's similar to Prince of Persia. Those type of games, like Another World, where there are platformers, but you move a certain way, then you do a little jump, hang from a cliff and whatnot. I enjoyed it, but what I hated is having to rescue the other species of its kind, because if you didn't rescue all of them, you would get a bad ending. But then I'm gonna be honest, I used cheats. I rescued everybody, and the ending was it was good. But then with the cheats and not having to worry about rescue anybody and just doing your thing, if it didn't have that element to it, this game would be more fun. But I did enjoy it. It was memorable, and definitely going to play the sequel to it. So there you have it. There it is. Now, the next game is a game that I have a video as well of it, and I'm planning to release soon. I'm not going to go much into detail, and that is WWF Betrayal. This was a very interesting game. I'm not going to go much into it. I will make a video because it's coming out. I have it already ready. It's going to come out soon. However, it's not it's a beat 'em up. It's very different. And I enjoyed it quite a bit. However, when capturing the gameplay footage of this one was a pain in the butt, because at that time I had issues doing the footage for it, and I had to play this game like tons of times to get it done. So anyways, I'm not gonna go into much detail of that one because I am doing a video soon, and that's gonna come out. And of course, the next one that I did, and I released it a couple of weeks ago, Solar Jetman for the NES, the game that took me over 3 decades to beat and finally did it. If you guys saw my video, I went into in-depth about it. I'm not gonna go much into it, but very memorable game because I also played it during the holidays or the holiday season. So yes. The next one, speaking of the holiday season, this one, boy, I love this game. And I wish I would have played it back in the times that it came out, but I didn't, unfortunately. I thought I did. And that is Lufia 2 Rise of the Sinistrals for the SNES. Now, this is a reproduction card, of course. Very, very fun game. I played the original Lufia years ago when I was a kid. I liked that one. That one was a fun RPG. But then this one, boy, was super cool. Had a lot of fun with this one. This one was one of those games that I thought I wasn't going to beat before the holidays. And now this became one of my memorable holiday games for 2024. Another memorable holiday game, and I am releasing a video soon on it, and I'm not going to talk about it much. Hyper Area for the SNES. Now, this is another reproduction card because the Japanese one is expensive to own. Very fun game. Very fun anime series. And, of course, this is tied into a movie series. The anime is a prequel to the movies that came out. So I'll go into detail when I show the video that's coming out soon on it. But this one was another memorable holiday game with a memorable anime that since I haven't really been in tune with anime recently, now I'm getting back into it. Definitely one of the animes that I enjoyed. This next one, I am planning on doing a video as well coming soon. You guys are going to be like, what the hell am I doing? And this game is memorable for a reason, and I will explain it on the video. And of course, this is Elmo's Adventure in Grouchland for the Game Boy Color? Yeah, for the Game Boy Color. Okay, I'm only going to say this, that it's memorable to me right now because of this holiday season, and I will go into more detail on this game when I do the video that's coming out soon, and I will explain it. Other than that, I'm not going to say much on this one because for me, it's worth a mention. And then finally, now this is last but definitely not least, my very last game that I beat of 2024, a game that I have been playing for over 11 years, a game that I started playing and I stopped playing for some reason, and then I finally began to play it, then I stopped again, and then finally I said, screw it, let me play it, because I was almost close to finishing it. And that game is El Shaddai for the PS3. So I don't think I'm gonna make a video on this one. Maybe not. But if I don't, let me go into detail. This one I do want to go into detail on. What's El Shaddai? Well, El Shaddai is a multi-directional platformer hack and slash adventure game. In some stages, it's overhead. It's 3D. Overhead in some stages are 2D side-scrolling platforming sections. In some stages, you have to use a vehicle even. Now, El Shaddai is basically you take the character Enoch, who is a character from the book of Enoch, which is a non-canon book of the Bible in Christianity, which tells a story of the a story about the Watchers and Enoch and whatnot. And basically, okay, this particular game, It's based on that book of the Bible. You're basically Enoch out to retrieve some fallen angels that have gone crazy on the world, that have commingled with humans, creating these half human, half angels called the, I forgot, it's here in the book, the Nephilims, or I can't even pronounce it. I'll show you guys right now. Yeah, the Nephilims. I pronounced it correct. So basically, these are the creations, or the giants that were created after angels and humans commingled. They created these. So now they want to destroy. The angels saw the error of, I want to say if I have it right or wrong. They saw the errors of their way, so they're out to destroy these Nephilims. But Enoch is out to kind of like you want to say he's a bounty hunter after these angels. But there's more to the story than that. One of the things is that this story was freaking confusing to me. Very convoluted. Now, one of the reasons why I stopped playing it was because apparently I thought I read, and I don't know if I read wrong, but supposedly it was one of those things that you had to play the game over and over again until you finally retrieve certain pieces of an armor or something. I don't know what the hell I read. And that made me believe that in years, until finally my second playthrough, my second romp through the game, I discovered that that's not the case. And I was able to use cheats, of course. And I was able to get into the game, deeper into the game. Then I stopped because I got it was a game that was kind of like, like I got tiresome. And then finally I beat it. Finally got the game. Now, recently I learned that there's a sequel called Lost Child that came out on the PS4, or The Lost Child came out on the PS4 and on the Vita. I may look for it and get it because it's not a common game, because the game was supposedly available on the Switch as well, but then they removed it from the online stores for some reason or another. And of course El Shaddai is a game that just came out, and Limited Run Games released a numbered copy of it. Even this game is expensive to own from the last time I checked. But yeah, I finally beat it. I will not, early on, this is a game that I discovered when I lived in San Diego. I remember wanting to get this when I saw this in a magazine of, I want to say Game Informer. And I was very drawn to the fact that it's biblically related to that. And I wanted to play it and see and experience it for myself. You know, I'm a history buff. I love to learn about history and things like that. So I decided to get it because I like learning about the Bible and the stories and all of that. Putting aside the religious aspect, but more of the historical and the knowledgeable aspect of it. And that's why I got it. I come to realize that I got this game a month before I moved back home from San Diego. I thought I got it beforehand. So it was probably one of my last games that I bought in San Diego. And yeah, so it's a memorable game nonetheless. And finally beat it. And finally I can say I'm done with it, because this game was just nuts. Very, very beautiful game. The graphics for a PS3 game were absolutely gorgeous in my opinion. I'm not into graphics or anything like that, but I gotta give this game where it's due. And this is basically a work of art in my opinion. And I can see why a lot of people may gravitate to this game. All in all, a good game, all in all, but just a very confusing story. There's more to it than that. It is just, to me, I get a headache just thinking of the story. But nonetheless, this is my 2024 memorable games of the year. Tell me what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. Tell me, have you played any of these games? Have you heard of any of these? But all in all, I enjoyed it. It's a fun game. Very interesting game. Very interesting games. My brain is just gone. Some great games that I played, and some that I was kind of like, okay, whatever. But all in all, I did get the monkey off my back on a ton of games this last year. So here's to 2025. Hope you guys had a great New Year's. Hope you guys enjoy this video. I want to wish everybody a happy new year. May your new year brings you a lot of joy, happiness, great fortune, a lot of enjoyment in video games, a lot of enjoyment with your family, friends, loved ones, because it's not about video games. You know, enjoy your life, enjoy what the new year comes for us, and hopefully everything is great for all of us. So here's that to you guys, my wish for you guys out there. Please make sure that you guys look at our other channels. Lily, a Simple Mom, Logan from Logan's Toy Box Review, Alexis, Lexi from Lexi's Toy Box Review. See their channels as well, because I got videos coming out with my son, with everybody else, as well as, you know, little gameplays for my son that he's doing right now. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy our channels, and we bring you a lot of blessings from our family to your family, and hope you guys take care. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.